In the royal courtyards of Jerusalem, a young prince played with his peers. As boys do, they pinched and clawed at each other's arms. But when sharp fingernails dug deep enough to draw blood, he didn't flinch. His tutor, William of Tyre, noticed the anomaly. He initially suspected the boy was simply exercising a high capacity for endurance, but a closer examination revealed total nerve numbness in the right arm. The royal physicians were consulted, and the diagnosis was grim. The boy had lepromatous leprosy, an incurable disease that progressively deadens the nerves and destroys the skin and respiratory system. In the 12th century, leprosy was a definitive political disqualification. The law demanded that the infected be stripped of their titles and removed from public life entirely to prevent divine curse or contagion. Protocol shattered in 1174. King Amalric died suddenly of dysentery, forcing the 13-year-old terminally ill Baldwin to immediately assume the throne. He inherited a kingdom sitting at the symbolic center of the world, a domain weighed down by immense religious significance and constant warfare. Beyond the borders, the brilliant tactician Saladin had unified Egypt and Syria. He had one goal: the total destruction of the Crusader states. Within the court, Baldwin's own barons viewed him as a weakling. Ambitious lords began maneuvering to seize power the moment his body finally failed. Baldwin faced a three-front war, fighting the era's greatest conqueror, suppressing his own treacherous lords, and enduring his rotting biology. In 1177, Saladin invaded. Assuming the 16-year-old sick king would stay hidden behind city walls, Saladin divided his massive army to pillage the surrounding countryside. Baldwin shocked his enemies by leaving the fortress to intercept Saladin's forces at Montgassard. Baldwin brought fewer than 400 knights. They faced a vast invasion force and entered the field at a desperate 3-to-1 disadvantage. Baldwin ordered a heavy cavalry charge directly into the center of the Muslim host. The impact routed the unprepared army, forcing Saladin to flee on a racing camel as his men were slaughtered behind him. This manuscript illumination captures the sheer chaos of the engagement, which ended with the total devastation of Saladin's invincibility. Montgassard proved that Baldwin's tactical mind could override his physical decay, cementing his legend among his knights and striking genuine fear into Saladin. By his late teens, the disease took a horrific toll. Baldwin lost his sight, his fingers curled into stiff claws, and he became physically unable to mount a horse. Treacherous lords like Guy of Lusignan used the king's decline to break truces and provoke Saladin, hoping to force a transition of power. When Saladin retaliated at La Forbalette, Baldwin refused to let his rebellious barons lead the defense. The blind, crippled king ordered his men to carry him to the front lines on a wooden litter. He commanded the army through blistering heat, terrifying both his enemies and his own men with his resilience. Baldwin's terrifying, unbreakable willpower became the kingdom's primary defense, forcing his fractured barons to hold the line out of sheer awe. By 1185, Baldwin was 24 and completely immobile. He recognized he could no longer physically hold the state together. In a final maneuver, he bypassed the greedy Guy of Lusignan to crown his young nephew, Baldwin V, in a desperate attempt to secure the royal lineage. Baldwin IV died in May 1185. He never lost his kingdom to an army. He simply reached the end of a ticking biological clock. His young successor died within a year. The kingdom's alliances immediately unraveled, and Guy of Lusignan seized the throne. In 1187, Guy's incompetence led the army to a catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Hattin. Guy was captured, and the Crusader army was destroyed. Within months, Saladin successfully besieged and captured Jerusalem, ending decades of Frankish rule. The rapid collapse of the kingdom proved the weight of his leadership. For 10 impossible years, the unrelenting spirit of a dying boy served as the only shield Jerusalem had against the greatest conqueror in the East.